Today, we're going to be talking about 3 things that successful people focus on in order to become wealthy. And I'm not going to talk about maybe anything that you've heard before as far as wealth and success and money and all of those things are. Today, we're going to talk about the 3 things that I've seen people focus on. And I'm not going to talk about reading books or waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning or making sure you should do cold baths or anything like that. I am going to focus on other things that you probably never thought of before, never heard of. I know a lot of people make videos and podcasts about habits of successful people. What actions do they take? What they have to do? But a lot of times the people creating the videos are not wealthy themselves, or they don't really know people who are wealthy. And this episode is not necessarily going to be the same, if I'm being honest. I've been blessed in my life to be able to get what people would call wealth. But I also have a lot of friends that have, I've witnessed many of people that I am friends with become extremely successful. 2 of my friends last year sold companies for over $100 million and over $200 million. And they've amassed large amounts of money. And I'm not saying any of this shit to brag. I'm just saying this because I am at least able to see in myself, but also see in many other people that I'm friends with and that I know, and how they got there and what they focused on. And it gives me a lot different of a perspective than I think people who don't know somebody who has gotten successful. So let me give you some things, and they might be a little bit different than what you've thought of before. Number 1, almost every extremely successful person that I know, they do something that like lights them up. Like it is something that they are so fucking passionate about. I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that you have to struggle your way to success. I thought that my entire 20s was about struggling my way to trying to be successful. And what I've come to realize is that nothing can be further from the truth. Is it hard? Yeah, it's really fucking hard, but it's fun for entrepreneurs. Most wealthy people do something that they love. Like it lights them up. Like something that they really, truly believe in. And that's why they don't usually stop when they get wealthy. Like a lot of people are like, well, that guy's worth $10 million. Why don't they just take a vacation? And it's like, because they actually love what they do more than they love vacations. And that's why you see people that become billionaires and then they just keep on working. They keep doing it because it literally lights them up and it gives them energy. One of the things that my 20s was focused on was working so hard on something that I wasn't really passionate about. And I worked really hard and I made an okay amount of money, but then it crashed and burned, and another one crashed and burned, another one crashed and burned. All these businesses crashed and burned because I thought I just had to work my ass off. But I was working my ass off at doing the wrong thing. I was building a ladder up the wrong wall. And as I got up the wall, I was like, oh, I don't want to be on this wall. And then it all came tumbling down. And in my 30s, I discovered what it is that I truly want to do, and I put all of my effort into it, and now it's hard not to work because I love to do it so much. And a lot of the people that I've seen, they find something that they're so passionate about or that lights them up, and they really love doing it, that it just feels like another part. It's like another arm. It is part of who they are. And the reason why this is important is because success requires hard work. You will not become successful without a lot of hard work, no matter what. And hard work, you can hate every single day and you can hate your life and you can struggle your way to success, or you can do something that you love and you naturally just want to work. And so back when I used to work, 90, 100 hours a week doing something that I hated, I burned myself out after 3 years. Now, I don't work that as 90 or 100 hours a week. Have I put that into my business before? Yes, but it doesn't feel, it's weird to say, like it doesn't feel like work. And it's like that cliche, like cliches are cliches because they're true. Like do something that you love because you never work a day in your life. That is actually true. Like it actually feels like it's a part of you. Like what I do, nothing gives me more energy than this. Like I could, chug a bunch of coffee and I don't feel more energetic than I do when I get done doing podcast episodes and recording and coaching people and working with people and learning about neurology and psychology and early childhood development. Like what I do, I love this. There's nothing more that I'd rather do. In fact, if I'm being completely 100% honest with you, yesterday we got back from a week of vacation, and when I walked in the house, this is 2 days ago, actually, not yesterday. When I walked in the house, for some reason, something shifted in my stomach from our 2-hour car ride after getting back from the airport, and I started getting ready to throw up. Like, those throw up coughs that you have where you're like, like you can feel it coming, your mouth starts to salivate. Happened to me about 45 minutes before a Zoom call that I was supposed to hop on with 60 people. in my business. And I told somebody in my business, somebody else covered for me. I had it covered. I didn't have to run the call, but I felt like shit for 45 minutes. And I was like, I want to do this so bad. I've been on vacation in Mexico for a week, no phone, completely disconnected. I want to do this. I could have just taken the day off. I could have had everything covered for me. But instead, I was like, I want to do this. And I forced myself to do it, and I felt so much better after. So that's how much I love what I do. It doesn't seem like work. It's awesome. And so hard work is a prerequisite for success. You can either work hard at something that you don't love, or you can work hard at something that you love. So if you hate what you're currently doing, if it doesn't light you up, I'm just going to be honest with you. You're in the wrong line of work. You need to change it and do something else. So that's the first thing. They do something that lights them up. The second thing is that people who are very successful, they like to solve the world's problems. So they're solving problems that they see in the world. One of my friends, I heard him say this one time, is entrepreneurs are people who take other people's problems and make them their own. They take other people's problems and they make them their own. Wealthy people are almost always entrepreneurs, and an entrepreneur takes someone else's problems and they make it their problem. A successful entrepreneur is someone who solves other people's problems. They notice a hole in the market. They notice something that is wrong or something that can be improved upon, and they fix it. They make it better. They fill that hole. They notice some sort of need in the world, and they help people with that need. And I'm going to be honest with you, like the news loves to bring people down, like successful people down a lot of time, saying, oh, the money's the root of all evil. They like to screw people over. This person's bad. This person's bad. Are there some bad successful people? Sure. But I know a lot more, like 10 times more, 20 times more successful people that are really good people than the other way around. And so the news likes to bring down successful people a lot of times, but that person is usually trying to help others in some sort of way. They're trying to solve other people's problems. They're trying to invent new things or improve current things to solve more problems. And a lot of times they solve problems that people didn't know that they had. That's the interesting thing about it. Like sometimes they solve problems that the majority of people in the world didn't even know was a problem. Like for instance, if you look at the first person who decided to invent the car, right? They invented the car. That was a problem people didn't know that they had. They thought horses were fine. Before horses, they thought walking was fine. And so there was this, hey, we're walking. We got horses. We're moving. We got carriages. These things are good. And then the car was invented, and they're like, whoa, hold on. We can travel a lot faster. The invention of the car was designed to move people faster. And then what happened? People invented a plane. And that was able to move people even faster. So when people had cars, I wasn't alive back then, but I'm sure they were sitting there going, hey, we're good. We're moving faster than we ever have. And then the plane comes out and they're like, oh, holy crap, we can move so much faster. Oh my gosh, it doesn't take 3 weeks to get across the Atlantic anymore. We can get across the Atlantic in 6 hours. That's amazing. And so they take these problems, they make them their own. And a lot of times people aren't even aware those problems exist in the first place. So if you're looking at this and you're looking out at the world, what is a problem that you want to help people solve? Maybe it's a problem for yourself, or maybe it's a problem that you see in a marketplace, or maybe it's a problem that you see in the world. How can you take that problem and make it your problem? Make it something that you want to solve. Start looking around your day, start looking around your life, and start seeing if maybe there's some problems that really interest you in how you want to solve it. Now, you might find a problem that you're not really interested in. Like maybe you see this problem, but you're not an engineer and you're like, I don't really want to put all of my time into that. Well, that goes against number one, which is finding something that actually truly lights you up. Is there a problem that you can find that you could solve, and that solving of it or the pursuit of solving it actually really lights you up? And that goes to what I like to go through, which is the third one, which is usually people who are successful are trying to do something to help others. They're trying to do something to help other people. And it might not sound true based off of what we hear, that money's the root of all evil. You've got to screw people over in order to make money, and that, you've got to take all of these actions and you got to screw people over. You got to mess them up. And, people who are rich want to fuck everybody else. And in order to become rich, you've got to take from other people. You've got to steal from other people, all of this. And they make the actions to becoming successful demonized a lot of times. And let me just put it this way. Are there people that do bad things for money? Absolutely, 100%. Are there people who have a lot of money that are bad? Absolutely, 100%. But most people are really good people. People who are successful and people who are not successful. I think that everybody is inherently good. When I look at the world, no matter how good or how bad somebody is, I think that at the core, every person is good. Every person wants to be good. And here's why doing something for others is important, is because doing something for money, it gets old. I'm just gonna be honest with you. If you're just following a path and going, I want to start a Amazon business because I've heard that people make millions of dollars in Amazon businesses, and you're just on the pursuit of money, it will get old. If you're doing something because you just want to get yourself to a certain place of making a certain amount of money or getting a certain amount of status or being able to buy a certain amount of shit, whatever it is, if you're doing something for that reason, that also gets old. Doing something for someone else never gets old. Doing something for other people never gets old. And so if you're looking at this, what's something that absolutely lights you up? What is something that you could see as a problem? What's something that you could do for other people? In your energy, you will notice when you start to do things for other people, it is like the universe or God just has all of the energy in the world that it wants to flow through you. It wants to give you more energy. It wants to help you. And you start to notice that you get a lot of momentum on your side. Like I would have never expected that this podcast would become what it is. I would never have expected that I could make any money off this podcast. I never would have expected that everything could have grown the way that it did. But all I did was just follow this internal feeling of this is what it feels like I'm truly meant to do. And I love it, and I feel like I'm helping people, and I feel like I'm solving some problems, and I'm just going to follow this path. And so when you start to look at your life, and you start to look at success, and you start to look at what it is that you want to do in your life, what are some things that light you up? Like, can you get a pen and paper and ask yourself, like, what is something that lights me up? What is something that I feel like gives me a whole lot of energy? What is something that makes me feel like I'm doing something good in this world? Like because almost every single successful person that I know does something that they're really, really interested in, they really love. I have friends that are in real estate, and they make a ton of money in real estate, but they love the nuances of real estate. I don't really care like they do, right? They also, at the same time, so first question is, what is something that really lights you up? Number two, what are some problems that you see in the world? What are some things in the world that you wish were different, that you wish were better? What are some problems that other people might have that maybe you can help them with? Because a lot of times it's not always problems with ourselves, but it could be problems with other people as well. What do you see other people going through? How can you help? You know, like if you see someone who has maybe they lost a limb and they've got an arm that was built for that limb. The person who built that arm, the limb for them, the mechanical arm that they built for them, the prosthetic, probably didn't have a prosthetic, but they saw, oh my gosh, hold on, these people, I've got this knowledge, I've got this engineering degree, I've got this thing that I could do. I could probably learn to build and create a prosthetic arm to help somebody out, right? And what they did was they saw somebody where they were, man, I think I could help these people out. I'm going to make it my mission to help those people. And they saw a problem and they made it their problem. So that's the second thing, is what are some problems in the world that you would want to solve, and maybe problems with other people that you could help them solve? And number three, what is something that you could just do for other people? Like, what can you invest your time into that is dedicated towards the pursuit of helping other people in some sort of way? If you can find something that you love and that lights you up, if you can find a problem in the world, and if you can also find something that is designed towards helping others, and you find something that meets all three of those criteria, and you put every ounce of energy into that thing, I challenge you to try not to be successful, because eventually you'll get there. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please share it on Instagram stories and tag me in it, Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. We also put a ton of content on Instagram that is not from this podcast specifically. So if you want some extra me, Rob Dial, in your life, go ahead and follow me on Instagram as well, Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. And I'm going to leave it the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make someone else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day.